The day I came home early from work, I wasn't supposed to see what I saw. But fate has a cruel way of revealing truth. Through the half-open bedroom door, I saw my husband tangled with a girl young enough to be his daughter. That single moment didn't just break my heart, it awakened something far stronger, the woman he never expected me to become. Before I tell you what happened after that, make sure you're subscribed to the channel and write in the comments which city you're watching from. This isn't just a story of betrayal, it's a lesson in quiet, careful justice, and how a life built on loyalty can be rebuilt on purpose. My name is Margaret. I'm 63, and for 37 years I thought I understood love. Peter and I built a life together, a modest house in a quiet Ohio town, a small construction company that carried our names, and 2 children who learned to ride bikes in the backyard I planted with my own hands. We scraped, saved, and dreamed. I used to say loyalty was a kind of wealth, something you give away and hope returns in peace. That's what I believed until the day the laughter in my bedroom didn't belong to me. I remember the ordinary things first, the brown paper bag of groceries in my arms, the thought of his favorite stew simmering on the stove, the warmth of coming home early just because the clouds looked like rain. Then the other smells hit, his cologne, the cheap, sweet perfume of a younger woman. My body froze. The hallway felt long and strange. From the half-open bedroom door came a sound I had never expected to hear in my house again, laughter that wasn't mine. When I pushed the door, the scene slammed into me like cold water. Peter, half-dressed, fumbling. A young woman tangled in the sheets, eyes wide with shame and calculation both. The jar of pasta sauce in my hand slipped, glass cracking on the floor. Red spread like a careless signature across the hardwood. For a moment the world narrowed to that stain, to his face, to the betrayal that saturated the air. He tried to speak, but his words were small and useless. "Margaret, it's not," he began. I stopped him with the dull kindness of someone who had nothing left to give. "Don't," I said. "Just don't." The girl fled. Peter reached for me. I stepped back. I didn't cry. I didn't wail. I left. I drove to my brother Richard's lake house and sat on the porch through the night until the first faint line of dawn threaded the water. In the quiet, grief cooled into a strange steel. Years of being gentle had not made me weak, they had made me patient. I let the initial shock pass into planning. I returned 3 days later. He greeted me with relief, false and oily, as if catching me had been a mistake he regretted. "I made a terrible mistake," he said. "It meant nothing." He said the things men say when they want to be forgiven quickly and cheaply. I smiled at him like a woman who had decided to be a different animal. The thing he never realized was this: he had always underestimated the arithmetic of the life we'd built. Peter managed crews and shook hands on job sites, I balanced the books, kept the receipts, and quietly made sure payroll cleared. His name was on the contracts, but my inheritance and slow savings had been the mortar and the foundation. I knew where the cracks would appear. Night after night, while he slept the sleep of someone who thought himself untouchable, I went through files. Paperwork is a faithful friend, it keeps its shape, it remembers dates, amounts, names. I found hotel receipts, transfers to private accounts, a string of payments that didn't fit any business reason. Someone had been using company funds to finance an affair, dinners, flights, even a down payment for a small apartment under another name. When I read the ledger that listed the expenses consulting, my hands went cold and then steady. Evidence is a slow blade, it takes patience to sharpen it. I called Sandra, my old friend and lawyer, the woman who once helped me untangle a bad lease and refused to be pushed around by men wearing suits. I brought her the files and the tight, quiet fury that had settled into my bones. She didn't gasp. She didn't lecture. She simply read, folded the papers, and said, "We'll do this clean." We did it clean. We moved deliberately, freeze the joint accounts, document the misuse, prepare corporate resolutions citing financial misconduct, file for divorce discreetly so it wouldn't tip the board into panic. While the law moved, I moved like a shadow in my own home, cooking when he called for dinner, asking about his day, letting him feel the false comfort that I was still the woman he thought he broke. He never suspected that the hand that had always smoothed his shirt now held the proof that would unmake him. There were moments when the past rose up like a ghost. I remembered the early years, when his laughter rolled easier and our hands fit without trying. I remembered the nights of little mouths and midnight fevers, the winters where the furnace sputtered and we shared the blanket without complaint. Those memories hurt and healed all at once. But memory is not an argument against justice. It is the soil from which a new life grows. We chose our moment on our anniversary because cruelty loves irony. He wanted to believe we could salvage romance. He dressed like the man who'd once wooed me, bought wine, told the old stories. Across that small, candlelit table he looked like the man I'd married decades ago. He squeezed my hand, and his fingers were warm and unsuspecting. I let him taste the familiarity he so badly wanted to keep. When we came home, I handed him a card. He opened it, found papers instead of poems. Divorce papers. Notices of frozen accounts. A corporate transfer document showing shares reallocated where evidence of misconduct permitted. His face moved through every color grief can make: confusion, denial, anger, then the quiet hollow that comes when a man sees the life he trusted slip like sand through his fingers. "What did you do?" he asked, voice small. "I did what any woman with her eyes open would do," I answered. "I took back what you used to build your lies." He screamed. Then he begged. Then he tried to bargain. I watched him like a neighbor watches a storm pass, with a kind of small, private pity. It is cruel, perhaps, to feel pity for someone who chose cruelty, but even he was human, and ruin makes soft things of everyone. His mistress vanished the moment his access stopped. The company board, already aware of irregularities through our discreet inquiries, voted to remove him for cause. Contracts he had promised were reassigned. Men he'd relied on turned away. I did not celebrate their turning, I accepted it. Justice, when served without spectacle, is precise and strangely serene. He came to me weeks later at the lake house, carrying the ragged weight of someone who had discovered himself unembellished. "You took everything," he said. "You threw it away," I replied. "I only gathered what was left and put it to better use." He said he loved me. I listened and thought about the small voices that built a home, the children running underfoot, the late nights, the insurance forms, the grocery lists, and realized what he loved had never been me so much as his idea of dominion. "Love," I said, "isn't a thing you trade for thrill." You learned that too late. After the divorce, I sold what remained of my shares and gave a portion to a local women's shelter that helps older women restart their lives. I kept enough to invest in a small cafe by the lake, a proper place where steam and conversation rise together. I called it Second Sunrise. The name felt honest, a promise I could keep to myself. Running the cafe gave me something I hadn't expected: community and simple joy. There's a different kind of currency in making pies for people who are rebuilding themselves, in listening to strangers tell you their sorrows while you hand them a warm cup of coffee. It's healing that smells like cinnamon and yeast. Women came in and told me their stories, affairs, lost jobs, children who'd turned their backs. I taught them the lesson I'd learned, that dignity is reclaimed by small, steady acts. People ask if I ever wanted to ruin him completely, to make sure he had nothing. The answer is no and yes. No, because cruelty begets cruelty and I did not want my life to hollow into bitterness. Yes, because I wanted him to feel the exact consequence of his choices, to understand that what he threw away was a life, not an object. Seeing him walk into town one gray afternoon, shoulders bent, was a quiet justice. Not loud. Not vindictive. Just true. Once, not long after the dust settled, Michael, our son, came to the cafe and sat across from me. He looked older than his years, tired from choosing sides. We spoke without shouting. He said, "I didn't know how to believe both of you." I reached across and touched his hand. "You don't have to fix the adults, love," I told him. "You just have to be kind to yourself." He nodded, and for the first time in a long time I felt like a mother again in the right way. All of that did not make me immune to lonely evenings. Sometimes, when the shop lights dim and the last customer drifts into the night, I stand by the window and let the silence roll over me. But now the silence is not a hollow place, it's a room I decorated with books I read, friendships I tend, and a small garden where lavender grows stubborn against the wind. There is dignity in that choice. People sometimes want the pithy line, revenge is best served cold. I'll give you this instead: revenge, when it is necessary, should be careful, legal, and harvested from truth. It should not make you someone you won't recognize in the mirror. My actions were precise because I wanted my life to remain mine, not because I wanted to be cruel. There were days I missed parts of him, the man who could make me laugh so hard my sides ached, the steady presence who once held me through storms. Memory is complicated, it keeps both sorrow and sweetness. But memory alone cannot justify betrayal. I chose to honor what we had by refusing to be erased in its name. If you're listening and your heart is raw, hear me: power grows quietly. Keep records. Keep friends who can stand with you. Know the small things: bank statements, receipts, the names of people who deal with your life. Paper tells the truth if you know where to look. But also, take care of your heart. Revenge without healing is like a house with no foundation. A few months ago, I heard Peter took a job at a small firm in another town. I don't track his misery, nor do I wish him undue hardship. What I wanted was this: for him to understand the cost of his choices, and for that understanding to be enough. Sometimes life's punishments are simply the echo of the things we discard. So when someone tells you you're weak for leaving, tell them this story. Tell them leaving can be the beginning of making a life you actually want. Tell them that a woman who rebuilds is the exact opposite of broken. She's a creator, a survivor who stacks new bricks where old ones crumbled. Before you go, hit subscribe and write in the comments which city you're watching from. If this story found you, remember, your silence can be the calm before a storm of your own making, not to hurt, but to reclaim. Walk into your sunrise.